Hello, Mr. 006. We're back for part 3 of Mega Man level contest number 2. You got your introduction. I said the beginning of part 2 there probably wouldn't be such a kind of thing, but yeah, I clearly ended part 2 off at the end of tier 1 and or beginning of tier 2. So yeah, you got your introduction. Don't expect one at the end of this video though. Yeah, well, I have nothing else to say. So yeah, we'll zoom in to tier 2. We've got 13 energy elements to collect. That doesn't necessarily mean we've got 13 levels to play, because as with one of the levels in Tier 1, there were multiple energy elements. There was 3 in the second to last stage. So yeah, not necessarily 13 levels, but 13 energy elements and 6 noble nickels to collect. And we're going to the sewer. Lovely. Well, that was just begging to be tried, wasn't it? Heat Man. I feel like I'm getting a bit of deja vu here. This time, it seems fancier though. Yep, you were in a sewer in the first contest. And Stony 4th place. Shiddy? Make sure I pronounce the D there properly. Wily Tower. Score 11.6. 13, 8, 6, 19, 12. Sadly, it's not going to be good as Wily Tower the game, but oh well, let's see what we're dealing with. 1 energy element to collect. Okay, the giant enemies from mostly, I guess, Yamato Man's stage, Mega Man 6. I should be charging up a shot here while I can't actually deal any damage. Cool. I think if you fall down there, it's ultimately just extra level, so yeah, nothing to write home about. That's something to write home about. In fact, I might just scroll off to the left, yeah. So I think there's a few extra enemies. I think we would fall down somewhere around here-ish if we fell down from the top of the screen. Didn't make that initial pit. So yeah, you don't die if you don't make that jump. You just fall down here a bit earlier. And onto some drill enemies where it's, I don't want to say it's unavoidable taking damage, but oh well. Still not especially good design, let's put it that way. Blind drop into a spike shaft. Lovely. And we've got Voltman. We're going to see him a lot. So, since it's the first time I think we've seen him, I'm going to use the Mega Buster this time around, but after that I will resort to weaknesses and such. So, here's a pretty simple pattern. He jumps up to the ceiling, puts a shield around him. He'll either then, when he's on the ground, shoot it out in every which way direction. I find that to be the more trickier one of his two when he splits them apart to avoid, because you never quite know exactly what the time is going to be on that. And his other one is he will jump into, he'll sort of hover in midair and then shoot them out as well. That one is the easier one to dodge, I find. Anyway, yeah, that was one boss, and now we've got another one. Caruso Man. Another dev kit boss. He's pretty straightforward. He will go up to the ceiling. Also, he'll create clones of himself that then loop up to the top of the ceiling. When they get to the top of the to the top of the screen, they will he'll sort of split apart and shoot out these circle projectiles. When he gets down to, I want to say, around about half health, he'll then sort of do this fire pillar move, which is pretty straightforward to avoid, to be honest. And pretty easy enough to get hits in as well. He'll then sort of teleport around and try to ram into you, but provided you can time it well and slide out of the way and just then jump over him, he's pretty straightforward to deal with. In fact, I must admit I space a little bit. I space on his Robot Master weakness, but yeah, he's pretty easy with the Buster anyway. I'll definitely use it on Voltman. I'll probably have to look up actually, frankly, what that was nice gameplay. I'll have to look up what his weakness is because I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it doesn't really matter. I'll find out by the next time I fight him, I assume. So we've got a Plant Man platform section here. Not that we even need all the Plant Man platforms. Just be careful with the last one that you don't jump into these spikes that were on the ceiling of that platform before it rotated. And we have a third boss. Yep. 3 dev kit bosses in a row, and this is Quint. So, as I just sort of said as with Voltman and Camuso Man, I'll use Mega Buster the first time we see them. When we see them again, I'll start using weaknesses and such like that. And I do remember Quint's weakness, so or certainly something that makes the boss fight a lot easier. Let's put it that way. But, yeah, he loves to shoot boulders at you. He loves to jump and try and fling his pogo stick down at the ground towards you, which can be a bit tricky to avoid. But I generally find sliding out of the way tends to work quite well, provided he doesn't, provided it's not a massive arcing angle jump or he's too close to you. You want to stay away from him as far away from him as possible because he can do sort of two boulder attacks. One where he sort of digs in the ground and small boulders sort of come up, another one where sort of big boulders come up and shoot at you. They're pretty straightforward to avoid if you're a fair distance away from him, but can be a bit annoying when you're close to him. But he's a pretty simple boss anyway. As for that level, yeah, there's literally a screen there after you drop down that I would just say is completely grey background. It's completely uninteresting. It looks absolutely horrible. So you're not a fan of like the stage tiles, assets and tiles and whatnot. Yeah, it's not one of those levels, I guess, or entries that just shows a complete lack of imagination and creativity. I think from my part, there's very little level there. And ultimately, you get 3 dev kit bosses in a row, which just screams nothing with an original boss or anything like that, which just screams lack of unoriginality, for want of a better word. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say on that level. I'm pretty sure there are about as many bosses in this level as there are enemies. Like all the screens in the level are completely featureless empty rooms, and then the occasional unmodified engine boss. You could have done a lot better with the graphics, some of it using black backgrounds. The actual level was only about 40 seconds long, minus the bosses. I don't think I can give many points for a boss rush that's using just vanilla assets. The sections in between the bosses don't feel very planned or consistent either, but more like filler areas to bridge the gaps between the bosses. This level also lacked testing, as one of the respawn points behaved weirdly due to the boss door above it. Normally I like the idea of a stage like this, but this one just isn't that good. The level design is awful. Most of the level is either horrible enemy placement, long empty sections, or other fairly serious stage layout issues. Also, there's a pretty serious camera glitch here. Anyway, there's nothing else I can say here. It could have been much, much better. Can it be? Do my eyes deceive me? Vault, Camuso, Quint. Folks, we've got the overused dev kit boss Royal Flush. What about the level? Level? Said it in the previous part, I'll say it again here. I love Ace Sparks comics. And yeah, I appreciate the need to do more detailed comments for later stages, but I love them. Well, I'll miss them when they're gone, let me put it that way. Dustman. Honestly, this is probably the cleanest sewer I've ever seen. The water is at least an okay colour. Yeah, let's not go there, shall we? And a floaty head with a cross around the next set of judge comments. Oh boy. That can't be good. 73rd place, Concord Butterfly, Airflow Hubble, score 13.4, 24, 18, 10, 14, 1. Gariri's least favourite, and that 1 is Ace Sparks, not Gariri's. Gariri's is the 14, so despite the much higher score than the 1 at the end, yeah, this is Gariri's least favourite level, not Ace Sparks. But yeah, a least favourite level doesn't tend to bode well. At least I'm relieved to see there's only 1 energy element. Let's see what mess we're likely dealing with this time around. Skip teleporter, if I so desire. I'm fairly confident I can get through. I did before. Info box 11,800. Contains no message. Well, okay then. And we immediately get thrust into an incredibly annoying first screen, complete with this giant enemy from Mega Man 5, I want to say probably most notably in Napalm Man stage. And Apache Joe, also from Napalm Man stage. And can I just say, I friggin' hate Apache Joes. They are probably one of my least favourite enemies in the entire Mega Man series. I absolutely friggin' hate them. Let's clear those blocks out now, why not? And yeah, we're going to get creative with ways in which to deal with them. And of course, unfortunately, I suffered knockback and I scrolled the one that was on the left-hand side of the screen back on. I'm also in a terrible position here, unfortunately, that this wire is not doing anywhere near as much damage to the thing because it's not hitting the bloody thing. And yeah, kind of irritating. And here I'm going to immediately kind of cheese this section because ultimately it's an absolute pain in the backside if you do not use flash stopper there. I don't fancy actually showing that off, and that does raise an interesting point in the sense that I'm usually much more happy in this game, by the way, yeah, wind physics, to show off like glitches, bugs and such like that because we're not playing around with like a life counter here, so if I die, I just respawn to the nearest checkpoint. I don't get kicked out of the level when I lose all my lives, and I really like that. So yeah, for instance, City War, I wanted to show off one bug at the beginning, which I did. But I did not want to die after that, because I say I did not want to have to go back to the hub world and have to redo the blade level again. But oh well, that ended up happening. But yeah, in this game I'm much more happy and amenable to actually trying to show off kind of glitches and things like that. A little bit like I did with the second level here, or the second to last place level, with the dropping off the screen with the ladder, whereby it just yeah, you have to actually go down the ladder and not fall down the ladder, or indeed just fall to the left or the right of the ladder, and then you die. So yeah, it has to be. That was annoying. Energy pickup that I lost there. Yeah, I was happy to show that off because I knew there was a checkpoint there, and I'm not going to get kicked out back to the hub world if I die, when I lose all my life. So yeah, so usually I'm more than happy to show stuff off, but yeah, that section with the I'm just going to try and leg it past these Apache Joes quickly. Yeah, that section with the three Mets. The leftmost one there, almost pretty much always, when you wheel cutter up the wall or rush coil up the wall, will open up, shoot you, and thanks to the wind physics, sorry, not the weird physics, the wind physics. Oh god, there's an enemy there I want to be taken care of. Good grief. Yeah, the wind physics, you get you're likely to get hit and then pushed back down to the pit area again. So you have to rush coil up again, or I hate how the Hornets chase the bloody balls in this one, and not the actual enemy. But thank you for the health, that was nice. What was I saying? Yeah, with the wind physics, you get knocked back. You have to do it all over again. So I didn't fancy doing that. So yeah, I'm going to cheese that section a little bit, use flash stopper, freeze time, and then we'll get through that way. Much happier doing that. Let's take out the Met Destroyer first of all. Hopefully take out the giant what the hell's it called? I've forgotten its bloody name. The thing from Mega Man 5 that's actually in the first Power Master. Thank you. Good grief. I just thank you. Yes, thank you. Just pluck that out of thin air. Anyway, yeah, Power Muscler. Anyway, this brings us to a serious designer fault, I think, with this level, and hence why I'm using Rush Jet here. The gaps in the Gutsman tracks, they were perhaps a little bit easy to see on the other screen where they were in place, but here I feel like they're bordering on silly to try and actually notice where the gaps in these platforms are. So if I pause here, and hopefully that thing down there, I'll have to sort of boogie around left and right, making sure I don't get attacked by anything up here. But yeah, the trying to get to see where these all are with massive amounts of enemy spam and over a pit of spikes is just awful. Not least this last section is absolutely freaking ridiculous if you try and do it without the use of Rush Jet or some kind of item, because I swear the platforms just do not line themselves up. That was awful. The platforms just do not line themselves. I can't even get that now, can I? I can get that with Hornet Chaser. Go, my bee friend, and run out before disappear before I get to it. Lovely, fabulous. Yeah, without use of some kind of adapter, I swear to God, trying to get up the platforms just don't sync up nicely to the point where you can do that. I'm sure it's possible, but frankly, I'm just going to avoid having to do it because it's I don't fancy messing around there for X minutes. I don't mind this fan section, although at times it just seems like a whole bunch of fans are like just in mid-air without sort of connected to walls or floors or what. So always just seems some of them are really oddly placed. Anyway, that was the gorilla tank mid-boss from Plant Man stage, most notably, I suppose. Get me my health. Thank you. Love the Hornet Chaser. That was a fabulous addition to this or weapon for use in this game. Just being able to not only home in on enemies that are really freaking hard to attack, but the fact that it can go after health and weapon pickups is just freaking fantastic. Love Hornet Chaser in Mega Man 9, and it's used real, and it's definitely has its good uses here as well. But anyway, that was a level, and a bit of a mess. And once again, we've got Quinn, so I'll get my cheap shot. Wow. Okay, nice slip of the tongue there. I'll get my cheap shot in at the beginning, and then we'll basically just use the Sagakane that was nice. To bounce on his head and absolutely wreck him. Yeah, that's his weakness. I'm going to be using that from now on when dealing with Quint. I showed off one Mega Buster. I can't believe I just said that. Oh no! I showed off fighting Quint with the Mega Buster in the previous level. So yeah, I'm going to whip out Sega Carne now. That's his weakness. Just bounced on him and absolutely wrecks him. And frankly, you know, he deserves it. Beat him at his own game. He's got a little pogo stick thing there. You know, yeah. Turnabout's fair game, but yeah, I don't know what to say right now. I can't believe that happened. Oh well, yeah, bit of a mess of a level. Let's just say that. Not a fan of it. Just yeah, the Gutsman platform is probably my biggest pet peeve with that level. Just in the sense that there's way too many enemies around, with very hard to see gaps in the track that you're going to fall down. When you put it over pits of spikes and such like that, it's really freaking annoying. Yeah, not a fantastic level, although by far away not my least favourite or worst level. Let me just put it that way. But yeah. Oh, the Apache Joes, by the way, in that first screen with the Apache Joes and those freaking Met enemies that just I mean you pretty much I think almost have to use either Rush Jet right over the top of them or Flash Stopper if you're going to use Rush Coil or Wheel Cutter to get up to the ledge, because the knockback just sends you straight back into the pit, which is bollocks. Anyway. A very, very meh level. A lot of the enemies placed here can be easily avoided, and there's large chunks of level where every challenge is just lawfully skippable. There's this long vertical drop with a bunch of enemies that you can just find a hole in near the top and fall down the entire shaft and never get hit. There's a room with like 3 Crystal Joes that you can just get out before they can fire. There's a metal gumball machine mini-boss that you can just snipe from a ladder with no danger whatsoever. The only real parts of the level that are threatening are the parts that are really obnoxious. The beginning part with the Apache Joes and the part with the Guts lifts. Apache Joe part speaks for itself, and the Guts Lift platform part just has annoying jumps due to lyrics and weirdly placed drop lines. The fan part at the end is okay, then there's a Quint fight and then the level's over. Yeah. This level was badly designed all the way through. At the beginning you put like 3 Cop the Joes, one of those missile guys, a line of Mets, and 2 of those laser shooting spacewalkers. It's all too much and basically requires weapons, which isn't good. During the indoor portion, it's too hard to see the split in the Gutsman platform lines. It's not very visible. There are blue squares instead of black ones when you're focusing on avoiding enemy attacks. Most of the fans weren't attached to any other blocks and looked out of place. The screen scrolls in the Quint boss fight because the stop scroll objects weren't placed correctly. Honestly, I don't think this level was designed with other players in mind. My advice to you would be to have other people test the level before you submit it. I'm having serious issues taking this level seriously in any regard. It's so random, inconsistent and messy. In some sections it doesn't even work properly, with, for instance, the net dispenser despawning when you leave and enter the screen. Okay. Every element in this level looks to be placed with so little thought to gameplay that I have to wonder whether it was even tested at all. Enemies repeatedly respawn in places where you have to take a moment and concentrate. Many obstacles are unfairly placed, others are completely useless. There's no flow, no coherency, and overall I just didn't have fun playing through this stage. Is this level even finished? I'm asking this because the level design is awful. The amount of enemies there is ridiculous, and they happen to be perfectly placed in order to make the experience as uncomfortable as possible. Other than that, most of the level is extremely empty with overly long passage and dead ends, not to mention the forced weapon usage, as well as cases where weapon usage is optional, but will let you skip over painful sections. Also, there's a severe lack of checkpoints. Why did this level even need to happen? Even the most basic stuff like graphics seem to go downhill after a few screens, not to mention the level's a bit buggy. This is an infuriating level to play through, and it could have been much, much better. The next case is a bit weird. Brought in from a festival or some such. I am the Queen of France! The only coherent words we got were checkpoint and Apache Joe. So, do we call a doctor or a vet? Okay, lovely.